The morning sun rose over Zithra Prime, painting the city in shades of gold and silver. The plaza sparkled as floating vehicles glided across the sky, leaving faint trails of light. Inside the palace, Princess Lysera sat in her private chamber, her violet eyes fixed on a small holographic display. It showed images of the human, Ethan Cole, moving through the city, studying, observing, interacting quietly with the locals. She did not understand why she could not stop thinking about him. It was not just that he had ignored her insult, it was how calm, how steady he had been. None of her other guests had ever dared to walk away without reacting. Not even the leaders of hostile worlds. Lysera tapped the screen. "Show me everything about him," she said to her attendant, who bowed and started searching through the palace archives. "Yes, Princess." Everything recorded about the human delegation from Earth. While her attendant worked, Lysera paced. Her boots made no sound on the polished crystal floor. She remembered his bow, small, respectful, unassuming. She remembered his eyes, calm like deep water, unreadable. He did not fear her. He did not flatter her. He simply existed in his own space, untouched by the power she thought would overwhelm him. That evening she made a decision. She would see him again, not in public, where he could be careful and polite, but in private, where she could observe him closely. Meanwhile, Ethan was settling into his quarters. He spread a series of reports across a low table, carefully studying Zitharan trade patterns. He knew that Earth's success in the interstellar market depended on understanding the subtle politics of each species present. "Ethan," said Mira, the linguist, stepping in with a cup of warm tea, "you've been at it for hours. Don't you want to rest?" Ethan shook his head. "I can't. We need to understand Zithara before we present our proposals. And I want to make sure we don't make mistakes that could cost Earth an alliance." Mira poured herself a cup. "You never seem worried about what the aliens think of you." "Sometimes it's better to focus on what matters," Ethan replied. "Let them judge. It does not change the facts." She raised an eyebrow. "You mean even if a princess insults you publicly?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Especially then." Outside the human quarters in the shadowed corridors of the palace, Lysera moved silently. She was not alone. Her personal security drones followed, invisible to most eyes, programmed to keep her safe. She was dressed simply, a pale silver tunic without the usual royal adornments. She wanted to be unnoticed. Lysera observed Ethan as he worked. She noted the way he handled the reports carefully, with attention to detail. She saw how he organized his thoughts, how he made connections she had never considered. Curiosity gnawed at her. She could not understand humans, at least not this one human. While most species she knew reacted to insult or praise, Ethan remained steady. Nothing seemed to shake him. The next day, the summit expanded into practical demonstrations, a chance for species to show their technology, skill, or intelligence. Humans were invited to participate, though many doubted what they could contribute. After all, Zitharan technology was centuries ahead of Earth's. Ethan approached the demonstration hall with his team. Their setup was simple. A small energy converter they had designed to work with alien power sources. It was modest but efficient and, most importantly, adaptable. A crowd gathered as aliens tested their own devices. Many whispered about the human, clearly expecting him to fail. Lysera watched from above, hidden behind a transparent panel. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes were fixed on him. When Ethan began his demonstration, he moved with calm precision. He analyzed the alien energy field, made small adjustments, and connected his device. It started to work perfectly, converting the energy with minimal waste. The crowd murmured in surprise. Many had expected failure. Lysera's violet eyes widened slightly. She had expected incompetence or clumsiness, yet the human had solved the problem with ease and logic. Not with arrogance, not with loud boasting, just simple intelligence. After the demonstration, aliens approached him with questions, curious how a species so young could succeed where others failed. Ethan answered politely, carefully explaining his methods. He made no claims of superiority. He only spoke the facts and shared his knowledge. Lysera, observing from a distance, felt a strange mix of irritation and admiration. She hated that she felt admiration. She hated that she could not predict him, could not control him. But she could not deny the truth. Humans, this human, were different. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Lysera decided to approach him. She materialized in the demonstration hall, her usual pride carefully hidden. Ethan looked up when she appeared, calm as always. "Human," she said, her tone measured. "You handled that surprisingly well." Ethan nodded politely. "Thank you, Princess. Your species' technology is impressive." Lysera tilted her head. "Impressive, perhaps, but not without flaws. That is why you succeeded, I think. You see what we miss." Ethan smiled faintly. "Sometimes a fresh perspective helps." Her eyes narrowed. "And yet you ignore the social rules. You did not bow to insult me. You did not respond to my words." Ethan's expression remained calm. "I have nothing to gain from arguing. Respect must be earned, not demanded. I treat all words as information. I do not react to insults." Lysera froze. No one had ever spoken to her this way. Her royal education had taught her that words could control, intimidate, or humiliate. Yet here was a human, refusing to be controlled, refusing to be intimidated. Over the next few days, Lysera continued to observe Ethan secretly. She watched him interact with other delegates, always calm, always fair, never swayed by flattery or insult. She saw him help a Zytheran technician repair a damaged drone using only human logic and basic tools. The technician was amazed, but Ethan merely smiled and returned to his work. For the first time in her life, Lysera began to question her assumptions about humans. They were not weak, not short-lived in spirit. They were persistent. They were clever. They were unafraid to act according to principles, even in a world filled with beings far stronger and older than they were. One night, Lysera spoke quietly to her personal AI. "Why does he not fear me? Why does he not bend to my authority?" The AI's voice was calm. "Princess, humans often operate differently from Zytherans. They value reason and personal integrity over hierarchy. His strength lies in what you cannot take from him, self-control." Lysera frowned. "Self-control, yes. But why does it irritate me so?" "Because it is unfamiliar," the AI replied. "And unfamiliar things often provoke strong emotions." She leaned back, thoughtful. "Then I must see him again closely. Perhaps then I can understand this human." Meanwhile, Ethan remained unaware of the intensity of her attention. He focused on his mission, Earth's interests in interstellar trade, and ensuring that humanity was seen as a competent, reliable partner. He moved quietly through the palace halls, meeting with delegates, analyzing data, and preparing proposals. He had noticed Lysera occasionally in the distance, watching, observing, but he treated her like any other delegate. He made no assumptions, and he did not allow curiosity to distract him from his purpose. One evening, Ethan found a group of young Zytheran workers struggling to repair a malfunctioning communication device. It was a delicate machine, far more sensitive than Earth's equipment. The workers were frustrated, arguing in a language Ethan only partially understood. Without hesitation, Ethan knelt beside them. He examined the device, his fingers moving with careful precision. Slowly, he adjusted a few connections, recalibrated the energy flow, and the device hummed to life. The Zytheran workers looked at him in amazement. "You fixed it?" one asked. Ethan smiled. "It needed a slightly different approach. That's all." Lysera, hidden behind a corridor, watched silently. Her heart thumped. She had expected him to fail or to act clumsily. Instead, he solved the problem calmly, without seeking recognition, without arrogance. That night, Lysera could not sleep again. She stared at the stars outside her window. The more she observed Ethan, the more confused she became. He was not afraid. He was not arrogant. He did not seek attention, yet he attracted it naturally. She whispered into the darkness, "Who is he really? And why do I care so much about him?" For the first time, Lysera felt a challenge that was not about politics or pride or power. This human, small, short-lived, fragile in body, yet strong in mind, was a puzzle she could not solve. And for someone like her, used to controlling everything, that was frustrating. The days after the first skirmish passed quickly. Ethan Rayner had grown used to having Lyra around, though he refused to treat her as a possession. He gave her freedom within the base, but he kept a careful watch. After years of war, he trusted few, and though Lyra had proven herself, the galaxy was still dangerous. Lyra, for her part, observed everything with quiet attention. She learned human routines fast, how the soldiers ate, how they slept, how they spoke, how they handled weapons. She rarely asked for anything, though she accepted what was offered politely. Ethan noticed small details. The way she tilted her head when curious, the way her eyes scanned every corner for threats, and the subtle smirk that appeared when she silently corrected. A human mistake. It was during one of these quiet days that Ethan realized just how much she knew. He was struggling to repair a broken communications array, a delicate piece of alien technology that had resisted human repair attempts. Frustrated, he slammed his wrench against the console. "Careful," Lyra said softly. She stepped closer, her fingers hovering over the controls. "You're applying too much pressure. The mechanism is delicate." Ethan looked at her, surprised. "Do you know how to fix this?" Lyra nodded, her eyes serious. "I was trained in this technology from childhood. My people value precision. If you let me show you, it will work." Ethan hesitated. Pride and stubbornness warred with necessity. Finally, he sighed and stepped aside. "All right. Show me." She moved with fluid, confident motions, adjusting circuits, reconnecting wires, and recalibrating sensors. Within minutes, the console hummed to life. Ethan stared, impressed despite himself. "Not bad," he admitted, unable to hide his awe. "You could teach a human or two." Lyra tilted her head. "I could. But humans often prefer brute force to finesse. It is inefficient." Ethan laughed softly. "You're not wrong." From that moment, their relationship shifted. Lyra was no longer just an alien in the base. She became a teacher, an advisor, a partner. Ethan began to ask for her opinion on strategy, repairs, and even small decisions that seemed trivial but mattered in the long run. One afternoon, the base's training yard was alive with activity. Ethan was running a tactical drill with a few young soldiers. Lyra had joined quietly, watching from the sidelines, her arms crossed, eyes assessing every move. "You're too rigid," she called suddenly, pointing at a soldier who was following the drill too literally. "Predictability is weakness. Adapt, improvise." The young soldier blinked, confused. Ethan, however, smiled. He had learned the same lesson long ago. "She's right," he said. "Humans sometimes forget that strategy isn't just rules. It's creativity." The soldier nodded, still hesitant, but Ethan could see a spark of understanding in his eyes. Lyra's presence was already influencing more than just him. It was influencing the humans around them. Despite this growing bond, tension lingered beneath the surface. Lyra had been trained for obedience, yet she refused to bow or submit entirely. She tested Ethan subtly, watching how he reacted to challenges, questions, and small acts of defiance. Ethan, in turn, struggled to reconcile his instincts as a soldier with his desire to respect her autonomy. One evening, as they walked along the perimeter, Lyra spoke softly. "You are different from the others, Ethan Rayner." Ethan glanced at her. "Different how?" "Others see me as a tool, a reward, something to be commanded. You treat me as a person. I do not know why, but I trust you more than I expected." Ethan felt a pang of something unfamiliar. Pride, perhaps, or relief. "I don't want to own you, Lyra. I just want you safe." She studied him silently, then nodded. Safety was a foreign concept. "It is not weakness to desire it, yes?" "No," Ethan said firmly. "It's human." Over the next few days, Lyra became an integral part of the base. She assisted engineers, taught soldiers alien technology, and even helped medics understand alien physiology. Her calm intelligence impressed everyone, though some humans whispered in awe and envy. Despite their growing bond, Lyra remained cautious. She had lived under control all her life, and trust did not come easily. She observed Ethan's reactions to his peers, to authority, to danger, carefully weighing each interaction. One night, as they shared a quiet meal in the mess hall, a human officer approached Ethan. "Captain," he said, hesitant, "that girl, she's unusual. We've never seen anything like her. Are you sure she should be trusted?" Ethan looked at Lyra, who was quietly eating, her posture calm, her expression neutral. "She's more trustworthy than most of the soldiers here," he said. The officer blinked, taken aback. "And she's not property," Ethan added firmly. "She's a person. Treat her with respect." The officer hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, sir." Lyra's eyes met Ethan's, and she gave the faintest smile. That one gesture carried more weight than words. Trust was growing, and slowly, the walls she had built around herself were starting to crumble. Days later, they received intelligence of a rogue alien faction still resisting human control. Scouts had spotted movement near the city's outskirts. Ethan prepared for a patrol, and Lyra insisted on accompanying him. "You are trained," she said. "I can be useful." Ethan hesitated. She was not a soldier by human standards, but he trusted her abilities. All right, but stay close, he said. The patrol moved carefully through the ruined city. Lyra pointed out weak structures, potential traps, and hidden pathways. Her knowledge of the alien environment was invaluable. As they approached the outskirts, they saw the rogue faction, small but armed and dangerous. Ethan signaled for the patrol to hold. Lyra whispered, "They expect fear." "We must not show it," Ethan nodded. Humans had learned to intimidate through confidence as much as force. Together, they formulated a plan. Lyra guided them through hidden routes, allowing the patrol to flank the rogue soldiers. When the attack began, Ethan marveled at her calm precision. The fight was brief but decisive. The rogues retreated and the human patrol held their position. Ethan looked at Lyra, his respect for her growing even further. "You did well," he said simply. Lyra's face softened almost imperceptibly. "And you," she said. "You treat me as an equal." "That is rare." Ethan felt a warmth he had not known in years. The war had taught him survival, strategy, and strength. But here, in the quiet aftermath, he was learning trust, respect, and companionship. Back at the base, they were greeted as heroes. The soldiers who had once whispered about Lyra now acknowledged her value openly. Ethan realized that humans could inspire loyalty not just through power, but through respect and fairness. Lyra, too, was changing. She had learned to navigate human behavior, to predict intentions, and even to enjoy small freedoms, walking freely, speaking openly, and making choices for herself. Yet she remained cautious, aware that the galaxy was not safe and that trust could be broken in an instant. One evening, as Ethan worked in the lab, Lyra joined him. "Examining a complex device, why do you care for me so much?" she asked suddenly, her eyes serious. Ethan paused. "Because I know what it's like to survive in a world that doesn't care about you. I know what it's like to be alone. And because you deserve respect, not fear." Lyra studied him silently, then nodded. "You are, unlike most humans, perhaps. That is why I trust you." Ethan felt a small smile tug at his lips. "And I trust you," he said. "Not because I have to, but because I want to." The words hung between them, fragile and tentative, yet full of promise. In the aftermath of war, amidst ruins and danger, two unlikely allies were beginning to understand each other. They were learning that the galaxy was not just a place of conquest, but a place where trust, respect, and human ingenuity could make a difference. The next morning, Ethan and Lyra trained together. She demonstrated alien tactics and he taught human strategies. Their combined knowledge became a resource for the base, a symbol of what humans could achieve when they respected intelligence, courage, and loyalty in others. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, Ethan realized something important. Humanity's strength was not just in weapons or numbers, but in its ability to inspire, to teach, and to elevate others. Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the fading light. "Perhaps humans are more than conquerors," she said softly. Ethan nodded, feeling a deep truth in her words. "Yes," he said. "And perhaps together, we can show the galaxy what humanity can truly be." And so, in the quiet days following the war, a human soldier and a stunning alien girl began to build a partnership. One founded not on ownership or fear, but on respect, trust, and the shared desire to survive and to thrive in a galaxy that had been torn apart by war.